know.
It's not fair for me to be alone like I have been for years. And it's not fair for him to feel like he has to do a duty.
This isn't what I want.
It's not what I want either, Robyn.
It's not what I wanted either.
It's not what I want.
Robyn came into our family specifically because she intended to live plural marriage. This appears to be the end of our plural marriage.
This is not just emotions. That response from Kody was not just emotion.
Venting my frustrations about a sister wife didn't work. It made him angry, it made him upset, and I realized
he's willing to keep acting.
Listen,
when he clearly hasn't been for 8 or 10 years. And also,
you won't believe the tea we're spilling today. From secret breakups to shocking lies, hit subscribe before the drama starts. Welcome, everyone. I Can Pretend to Be in Love. Meri and Kody's last conversation, it wasn't ever meant to end this way. 3 decades of devotion, restraint, and silence. Kody Brown meets Meri's gaze and utters the unimaginable. I can pretend to be in love if I need to. Pretend to be in love? 3 words that broke the longest marriage in sister wives history and changed how millions saw Kody forever. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're breaking down the most heartbreaking conversation in sister wives history. The moment Meri finally stopped waiting and Kody stopped pretending. This wasn't just the end of a relationship. It was the final truth of a man who'd run out of affection and a woman who'd run out of hope. Grab a blanket, because this one isn't just emotional, it's devastating. We'll explore how their love story collapsed, what fake love really meant, and the shocking aftermath that fans are still reeling from. The silence before the end. Before that conversation, there was silence. Meri and Kody weren't arguing because they weren't talking. Years had gone by since they'd kissed, shared a bed, or even had an actual moment. She'd waited for the flame to be rekindled, for the attention, for something, but the reality? There was nothing further to wait for. Kody had emotionally moved on long before Meri ever boxed up a thing. The conversation that oughtn't have been had, they sit facing each other, the space between them now greater than any highway. Meri interrupts the silence. You don't even feel like you are my husband, do you? Kody exhales, reclines, and states, that's not true, but it's not going to change. It is the sort of sentence that is spoken in a calm tone, until you catch on that it's a statement of conclusion, and then the line, the one that is etched in the minds of fans forever, I can fake being in love if I need to. I can fake being in love. Meri doesn't talk immediately. She blinks, once, twice. You can almost see the decades of struggle crumble behind her eyes, because for 30 years, she wasn't faking. She was fighting. Through Kody's subsequent marriages, through public judgment, rough years of being put on the back burner. She remained, and now, the man she constructed her life around was confessing that love, the foundation upon which all else rested, had become show. I can pretend to be in love. It's not a confession. It's an obituary. The weight of pretending when someone says they can fake love, what they're really saying is, I'll show up for appearances, not for you. For years, Kody and Meri were performing for the cameras, for the family, for the faith. They smiled through interviews, celebrated anniversaries, posed for photos, but Meri was living in emotional exile. She once said, I'm not asking for perfection, just effort. But effort was something Kody had already spent elsewhere. A decade of distance, there was a time when they were inseparable. The original couple, the first chapter of the Brown family, before Christine, before Janelle, before Robyn. But as the family grew, Meri's role shrank. And when the catfishing scandal broke years before, it wasn't only her trust that was broken, but Kody's respect. And from then on, she was no longer a partner. She was a placeholder. And yet, she remained, because to leave would have meant shattering not only a marriage, but a faith system. The mirror moment. Meri once said, I've spent my life fighting for something that doesn't want to be fought for. That's what this scene feels like, a mirror finally telling the truth. When Kody said he could fake love, he wasn't cruel. He was empty. And emptiness, in a relationship, is far more destructive than anger. The power of realization. There's a point in any breakup when one person simply realizes it's over. Not through yelling, but through quietness. That was Meri's moment. No tears, no screaming, no pleading, quiet acceptance. She gazed at him with tears that wouldn't fall and spoke. What may have been the bravest thing she's ever said, then you need to let me go. And for the first time in a long time, Kody didn't stop her. The emotional fallout, everything changed after that conversation, even the way they talked on camera. There was no more pretending, no more Kody told cameras, "It's been maybe a wasted 7 years for Meri. I have no idea. A wasted 7 years. That's how he reduced a lifetime." Meri, however, responded, "I still believe in love, just not this version of it." And that's when viewers knew the quiet wife was finally leaving behind the loudest heartbreak on TV. Fans react globally within hours. The video went viral. Hashtag #TMeri trended on Twitter and TikTok. Viewers dubbed it the saddest sentence ever spoken on Sister Wives. Others told her, "You don't pretend love, you feel it, or you go." People saw themselves in her suffering, years of devotion to someone who had already left the room emotionally. And that's why this moment struck differently. It wasn't television, it was reality. A door closes, Meri turning off a light, exiting the room. Every episode has its final line. For Meri, it wasn't dramatic. It wasn't cinematic. It was peaceful. She departed quietly, closing the door behind her, not as a wife, but as a woman who at last remembered her value. And in that room behind the door, Kody sat in the silence he had made. Because sometimes the most breakup in the entire world breaks up. With a whisper, we'll break down the actual reasons Kody uttered those words. The jealousy, the favoritism, the emotional shutdown, and the hurtful fact that fake love wasn't about pretending. It was about avoidance. The reasons behind the words. Kody's breaking point last week. We witnessed Meri hear the words that destroyed 3 decades of marriage. "I can fake being in love if I need to." Tonight, we're going deeper. Why did Kody Brown make that claim? What led a man who once taught eternal love to prioritize performance over passion? The pressure of plural on the outside, plural marriage appeared spiritual and robust. On the inside, it was pressure, the sort that shatters anyone who tries to be all things to all people. Kody was spreading himself between 4 houses, 4 children, 4 expectations. But there was always one home where he felt least welcome, Meri's. By the time Robyn joined the family, Kody was no longer the romantic partner Meri knew. He was a CEO managing emotions. From first wife to forgotten wife at one time, Meri was the core. She was his first love, his co-founder of the Brown dream. But as the evening started expanding into a family with more marriages, so did resentment. Every new wedding rearranged the equation of attention, and Meri, who was used to being number 1, became number 4. That change fermented a different feeling in Kody, not anger, but defensiveness. He began perceiving every conversation with Meri as criticism, not connection. When love is a simulator, you quit playing the game. The catfish aftermath, and then there was 2015. The catfish scandal that made their personal suffering public news. To Meri, loneliness was what made her susceptible. To Kody, it was deception he could not shake. He did not scream. He shut down. And so, their marriage evolved into a business venture with no S. For years, Meri attempted to rebuild trust, and Kody refiled their relationship in secret under history. Favoritism and the new Estienda Ardoin Robyn came along. Kody discovered romance again. He termed it a spiritual connection. But to Meri, it appeared as favoritism with a halo. Followers observed that too. The longer stares, the additional attention, the soft tone reserved solely for Robyn. Kody didn't view it as betrayal. He viewed it as balance. In his head, he was putting his money where love still existed. But to Meri, it was as if someone else was living her life. You can literally watch it play out over seasons of Sister Wives. His body language changes. Less eye contact, more space, hands clasped. That's the point when resentment crosses over into apathy. And apathy is where love goes to perish. By the time Meri attempted to re-establish contact, he was emotionally elsewhere. She was battling a husband. He was handling an image. The line that revealed everything, Kody, "I can fake being in love if I need to." That wasn't merely cold. It was a confession. He was acknowledging that for years, he'd been pretending for peace, smiling for the children, posing for the television show, but you can't keep a marriage going on fantasy. Somewhere along the line, the audience isn't believing the act, and neither is your spouse. Inside Kody's head to appreciate his breaking point, For 3 decades, he was the focus of attention, the husband, the head, the patriarch. But as all his wives became self-sufficient, his control dwindled. Christine departed. Janelle defied him. Meri demanded explanations. Suddenly, the family that once revered his leadership was second-guessing his decisions. And nothing crushes a patriarch like being disregarded. implying he could fake love was his defense mechanism, a coping mechanism to delude himself that he was still in charge. The spiritual conflict, Kody's identity is rooted in faith. That marriage lasts a lifetime. That commitment is obligation. For him, confessing the love was over meant he'd lost spiritually. So he discovered a loophole, pretending if he faked love, he was still keeping his covenant. But Meri did not desire pipe. She desired partnership. And that's why their last exchange was so agonizing, because he was talking religion and she was talking feeling. Meri's realization, when you've waited so long, you don't anticipate that closure will come in the form of a throwaway sentence. Meri heard him say those words, and something inside her shifted. The woman who had stood for family, faith, and forgiveness finally realized the truth. This wasn't love anymore. It was loyalty to a memory. And that's when she let go. Meri, I can't live on pretend love anymore. The audience reaction when that episode aired, the internet blew up. Viewers wrote, she deserved better. Others wrote, this was the realest moment on TLC. Because we all knew what she was going through. Being with someone who appears physically but had checked out emotionally, we're jumping into what ensued. The aftermath, the media frenzy, and how Meri remade herself after 3 decades of waiting. Hit like if you've ever found yourself in Meri's situation. And comment below, would you stay for obligation, or would you leave for peace? The aftermath, Meri's rebirth and Kody's collapse last season. We saw the marriage dissolve with 7 words. I can fake being in love if I need to. That sentence ended 3 decades of commitment. But endings aren't just about loss, they're also about rediscovery. Tonight we discuss what happened after the cameras stopped rolling, Meri's private rebuilding and Kody's gradual falling apart. The morning after, when death claims a long relationship, the next morning is unreal. Meri mentioned the silence in her home was so absolute it was like an apology. That stillness, however, turned out to be her first lesson, the distinction between being alone and being free. She made coffee for one, sat around, and felt that every inch of the space still whispered his name. That was when she decided to begin taking back the space, one drawer, one breath at a time. Boxes of belongings, pieces of peace packing once equated fear of loss. Now it equated permission. Each object she boxed was a border. All the photographs she left behind were a statement. This no longer defines me. Fan streaming Sister Wives 2025 described it as one of the most real moments ever. The silent freedom after all those years of emotional labor. Meri wasn't fleeing the Brown family. She was fleeing to herself. Kody's unraveling meanwhile. Kody reaped what he had sown. The patriarch was alone in the shot for the first time. No wives to balance him, no plural din to conceal behind. He explained to producers that he felt misunderstood. But what audiences perceived was a man out of sync with the family he created. Control with no connection always comes crashing down. The empire he tried to manage had turned into 4 separate kingdoms, and only one had a queen who finally knew her worth. A different kind of faith. Meri's healing wasn't revenge, it was reflection. She still believed in faith, just not the version that demanded her pain as proof of devotion. She started journaling, traveling, and reconnecting with friends she'd put on hold. Each post-episode interview evidenced a lighter mood, a calmer stare. She'd once declared, God doesn't want me miserable. He wants me whole. That phrase became a call to action for viewers who'd lingered too long in half-loves of their own. The public redemption arc, TLC Sister Wives broadcast the follow-up shows, and viewers picked up on something new. Meri wasn't on the defensive. She was calm. She discussed lessons learned, boundaries, forgiveness, empathy. On social media, hashtag Team MERI and hashtag Healing, Not Hate trends covered days. Because this was not the tale of an angry ex. It was the tale of a woman taking back ownership of her story. Kody's isolation at the same time. Kody's universe continued to narrow. Christine was gone. Janelle had set her boundary. Robyn attempted to keep the family afloat, but even she couldn't protect him from the backlash. He spoke of patriarchy and obedience, but what he actually endured was silence. And silence, when it's of your own doing, is deafening. For the first time, the man who had once juggled 4 relationships was struggling to juggle one with himself. Moments of growth, Meri started taking mini adventures, road trips, speaking engagements, charity events. Every appearance was like an affirmation of the question that had haunted her. Who am I when I'm not Mrs. Brown? Her reply, enough. She started a small business, posted motivational quotes, and reminded fans that resilience doesn't require revenge, but rest. From heartbreak to hope, when others asked if she regretted anything, she replied, no. I discovered how powerful I am. That's the arc of transformation each viewer experienced, from rejection to rebirth. Because sometimes empowerment isn't dramatic. It's living peace over performance. It's taking I can pretend to be in love and saying instead, I no longer have to. The legacy of Lessons Sister Wives was no longer just a reality show about plural marriage. It was a reflection of resilience, self-sufficiency, and integrity. Meri's journey reminds all who watch, forgiveness is not an apology. Forgiveness comes through acceptance. Kody might still wrestle with the vision of control, but Meri's living. Breathing reminder that abandoning doesn't equal failure, it equals believing in yourself. So, what do you think? Was Meri's journey a tragedy or a triumph? For me, it's both. Heartbreak opened the door, but healing walked through it. If you were inspired by her strength, tap like, share this story, and leave a emoji in the comments for new beginnings. When someone says they can fake love, let them. You go find the real thing. This family's drama is far from over. So smash like if you're #Team Wives, subscribe for the next explosive update, and drop a comment below. Who do you think will win? Stay shady, stay curious. And I'll see you in the next scandal. Behind TLC, Sister Wives out.